Hello everyone, welcome to iQuanta. My name is Nitin. I'm sure everybody is doing great. Guys, this is the fifth video of profit and loss. In the last video, when we had met, I had discussed the last concept of profit and loss, which was based on cheating, which a shopkeeper can make, right? And I have also told you that in the next video, we'll be discussing some important questions of profit and loss. So here we are. Let's discuss important problems one by one. So the first question in the list is this. The question says that Aruna purchases a certain number of apples for rupees 20 each and a certain number of mangoes for rupees 25 each. If she sells all the apples at 10% as profit and all the mangoes at 20% loss, overall she makes neither profit nor loss. Instead, if she sells all the apples at 20% as loss and all the mangoes at 10% profit, overall she makes a loss of rupees 150. Alright. Then the number of apples purchased by Aruna is, and guys, this is one of the previous year question of IPMAT Indore as well. Let's see how we can do that. Okay, in the beginning they are saying that Aruna purchased a certain number of apples and a certain number of mangoes, and in the end, guys, they have asked the number of apples which she has purchased. Okay, so we can assume this number, guys. First of all, let us assume that let the number of apples purchased by Aruna is being X, alright, and let the number of mangoes purchased by Aruna being Y. Alright, so first thing, in the first case, guys, she is selling apples at the profit of 10% and loss, mangoes at a loss of 20%, and she makes no profit, no loss. That means the CP has to be the SP, right? By the way, what is a CP? CP is something which is fixed, right? See, she buys apples at rupees 20 each and mangoes as rupees 25 each. So what should be her cost price? It should be 20x, right? Because number of apples are X, and 25y because the number of mangoes are being y, right? And we know that in the first case, selling price is being equal to the cost price. Simple, right? So let's consider this the first case. Selling price is what? Selling price is, she has sell in the first case apples at the profit of 10%, is right? Cost price of apple is 20, making 10% profit. 10% of 20 is simply 2. That means we can say the selling price of each apple should be 22, right? And the total apples are X. So the total selling price with the apples is 22X. Simple. Now, she sells mangoes at the loss of 20%, is right? One mango is bought at 25 rupees. So 20% loss, 20% of 25 is 5. That means the selling price is 25 minus 5 is 20. Very obvious, right? So the selling price with mangoes is 20y in all because total mangoes are y. So the cost price we know is what? 20x plus 25y. With this, we can just make one simple equation based on x and y, right? 20x goes here, so this is 2x, right? And 20y comes here, so this makes this 5y. Let's call this as equation number 1 as well. Now, guys, the second scenario, let me do here. The second scenario is what? Now, she makes, in the second case, she sells apple at 20% losses and mangoes at 10% as profit. In this case, she makes a loss of 150 rupees. Alright, guys, so we can say what? In the second scenario, there is a loss. That means CP minus SP is a loss, and that's given to us rupees 150. So we can make another equation on that basis. Alright, cost price is what? Remember, we had already mentioned cost price as 20x plus 25y. Coming to the selling price in this particular scenario, so one apple is sold at 20% losses. So 20% is the 20 rupees is the cost, right? 20% of that is 4. So we can say the selling price is 16. So total selling price of apples is 16x. Coming to mangoes, the cost price is 25 and it's sold at 10% as profit. So 10% of 25 is 2.5. That means the selling price must be 27.5y. Alright, and this is how we can say this must be the selling price in the second scenario, and CP minus SP is 150, the second equation. Alright, we can simplify this equation as well. 20 minus 16 is 4x. Alright, 27.5 minus 25 is plus 2.5, or I should say minus 2.5, right? Minus 2.5y is giving us rupees 150. Alright, guys, so you can see that we have two relations. The first relation in the last slide is 2x is equal to 5y, and in this the second relation is 4x minus 2.5y is being 150. Remember, guys, the last thing is to find the value, to find the number of apples, which we have assumed as small x, right? So basically, we need to find the value of small x. Now, with these two equations, we can easily find a small x or a small y, both of them. But we are focusing on finding a small x first, to save our time. So what we can do, guys, remember 5y is 2x. So we can say what? If 5y is 2x, we can say 2.5y is just x, dividing by 2. Why I did it? Because in the first equation we have 2.5y and I wanted to put y with respect to x so that we can quickly get the value of x. All right, I could have done x with respect to y as well, then we would have gotten y first and then x second, so it could have wasted some time. So what I did, I put y with respect to x so that we can first get the value of x and question can get solved. That's it. So putting this here, remember 2.5y is x. That means in this equation 2.5y is being x, so 4x minus x is 150. That means 3x is 150. That means x being equal to 50. Simple, right? So we can say yes, the number of apples being purchased is 50 in this question number 1. All right, wonderful question, appeared in last year, in 2022 as well. Now let's look at the second question. It's also a very good question. It says that Gopi marks a price on a product in order to make 20% profit. All right, Ravi gets 10% discount on the marked price and thus save rupees 15. Okay, then the profit in rupees made by Gopi by selling the product to Ravi is. All right, so first thing, Gopi marks a price on a product in order to make 20% profit. Okay, so we can start some assumption because no actual number is given, so we should start with the assumption. All right, so let's say the cost price of Gopi is rupees 100, just an assumption, right? Now what about the marked price? Because she marks a price on the product to make 20% as profit, so the marked price has to be how much? 20% above this. Simple, that means it should be 120, 20% above the cost price. Then Ravi gets 10% discount on the marked price. Now guys, Ravi comes another person who gets 10% as a discount, so 10% discount on 120 is obviously rupees 12, right? So that means Ravi buys, or you can say Gopi sells to Ravi at rupees what? 120 minus 12, that means 108, right? So selling price of Gopi or the cost price of Ravi is being 108, right? Now they have saying that Ravi saves rupees 15. Okay guys, Ravi, because of the discount he gets, he saves rupees 15. But what is happening on the assumption part? See guys, if Ravi doesn't get the discount, he must have bought at rupees 120. But because of the discount, he is getting as 108. So he is saving how much? He is saving that rupees 12, the amount of the discount. 120 minus 108 or 12, whatever you can say that. So Ravi saves how much? Let me write here. Ravi saves rupees 12 on the basis of the assumption. But in the real, they are saying that Ravi is saving rupees 15. That means 12 of the assumption we can say is 15 of the real. Okay guys, 12 of the assumption is 15 of the real. That's it. Now coming to the final question, they're asking the the amount of the profit made by Gopi in selling the product. Okay guys, so what is the profit the Gopi is making in the assumption part? So guys, the cost price for Gopi is 100 and selling price, the final selling price is 108. That means Gopi is making the profit rupees 8, right? This is again the assumed value. Okay guys, we have to find the real profit for Gopi. Simple. Okay, so we can say what? The 12 of the assumption is 15 of the real, so we just have to find that 8 of the assumption is what value of the real, the unitary method. Simple, 12 is 15, so 8 is what? Simple. So guys, in 12 and 15 we can cancel by 3 actually. Okay, if we cancel by 3, we can say further that rupees 4 must be equivalent to rupees 5. I just cancel by 3. 4, 3 4s are 12, 3 5s are 15. Simple. So if 4 is being 5, that means 8 must be what? Again we can multiply by 2, 4 2s are 8, so 5 2s must be 10. That means the real profit made by Gopi has to be rupees 10. Yes, we can say answer is rupees 10, option number B. So this is how we can solve this wonderful question as well. Moving to the next problem. Okay guys, the next problem is, it says that Geeta sells 2 objects A and B at the same price such that she makes a profit of 20% on the object A and the loss of 10% on the object B. Okay, so Geeta sells 2 objects at the same selling price. We have to remember this point, that she is selling at the same price. Okay, such that 20% profit on the first object and 10% loss on the second object. If she increases the selling price such that object A and B is still sold at the same price, is still, guys, even after increasing the selling price, she makes sure that the selling price of both of them is still being the same. Okay, now they are saying that a profit of 10% is made on object B and the profit made on object A will be nearest to. Okay guys, again we can solve this problem in a lot of ways. A lot of people solve by the variables, but we will try to avoid the variables as much as we can. All right, So in the end, they're asking profit made on object A, right guys? The question is about the object A. So if we start assuming the cost price of the object A only, that will be much easier in terms of solving, because profit percentage is asked on object A. If you assume the cost price of object A being 100 rupees, it will be easy in terms of the calculation. All right. So I'm starting the assumption with, the rupees 100 of object A, right? Let me write this as well. We are doing this for project A. All right, guys. So project A, object A, the cost price, let's say, is rupees 100. Simple, right? Now remember, guys, both the object are being sold initially at the same selling price, but object A makes a profit of 20%, right? So what is the selling price of object A? That must be 20% profit. That means it should be 120. Very obvious, because it is being sold at 20% is profit. All right. Now remember, guys, they are saying that initially both the objects were being sold at the same selling price. That means for object B also, the selling price must be the same, 120, right? It must be the same. But in the beginning, the object B was being sold at a loss of 10%. Remember, guys, object was being sold at a loss of 10% at the beginning. So we can find out the cost price of the object B as well. Okay, and why we are doing it, you will get to know very soon. Okay, because the later data is about the object B more, right? That's why we are finding the cost for object B as well, right? So guys, remember, she is making loss of 10% on object B. That means we can say the cost price should be 90% of the we can say what, in fact I should write selling price should be 90% of the cost price, right? Because there is a loss of, we can say what, 10%. That means selling price is 90% of the cost price, and that we have assumed, or we have gotten 120, right? So 90% of the cost price of object B should be 120. So by this we can find the value of the cost price. Simple. Or we can we can just take this data and move ahead. The next data is what, guys? The next data they are saying is, remember, they are saying that she now increases the selling price such that the object A and B are still sold at the equal price. Okay, she increases the selling price of both the objects such that still the selling price is being the same, but the object B is now making the profit. Earlier, guys, the object B was making the loss of 10%, but now the object B is making the profit of 10% is this. All right, so we can do a lot of things. Let's do one thing. Let's find the cost price. Okay, whatever the cost price is being, it's, you can say what, 9 by 10. 90% means what? We can say 9 by 10. Simple. So 9 by 10 of the cost price is rupees 120. So from this we can find the cost price. Okay, so cost price should be what? We'll say 120 into 10 by 9. All right, now 120 and 9, they both are the multiples of 3. So we can say it's 40 into 10 is 400 upon 3, right? We can say the cost price of the object B should be 400 by 3 rupees. Okay, guys. So this was the initial scenario, right? This was all the initial scenario. Now the second scenario, remember, she increases the selling price. Let me move to the next slide. In fact, she now increases the selling price such that both the objects are still sold at the equal price. Okay, so selling price of both the objects being changed now because she increases the price. And now the object B is made, on object B she is making the profit of 10%, right? So this you can say is the second scenario. All right, let me write this. This was the first scenario, and now this is being the second scenario. In second scenario, object B, is giving the profit of 10%. So we can say the selling price for object B should be how much? Let me write this. For object B, the selling price should be, 10%, or you can say 11 by 10 of the cost price, because there is a profit of 10%. Is simple. And cost price is something which you have already found. Remember, guys, in the last slide here, we found the cost price of object B, right, which is being 400 by 3 rupees. So we can put it here, 11 by 10 into, rupees 400 by 3. Simple. Okay, we can simplify this. Let's see what do we get. 110 will be, 0 will be cancelled, we can say. So it should be 440 by 3. Okay, guys, this must be 440 by 3. And remember, even after the second process, right, when she increases the selling price, the selling price of both A and B objects is still the same, right? That means the selling price of A is still being the same. What is the selling price, guys? Selling price is 440 by 3, right? And the cost price is remaining the same, right? Cost price of both the objects are same, only she is increasing the selling prices, right? So cost price of object A, remember we started the question with this data only, right? The cost price of object A is rupees 100. We started assuming this, and I told you the reason also why we are starting with this, because ultimately they're asking the profit percentage on the object A, right? So the cost price of object A is being 100, selling price is 400 by 3, so the last 440 by 3. So the last thing is to find out the profit percentage made on the object A, right? We can do one thing, we can find this value in decimal, right? It should be how much? It should be 440 by 3, right? So 1, right, and then 4, and then 6.66 something, right? This is 146.66 something, simple, right? 420, and this is this, yes. So cost price being 100, okay, and selling price being how much? 146.66. And in the end, we have to find the profit or loss percentage. Obviously, it is profit. How much profit, guys? The profit is 46.66, and the cost price being 100. That means the profit percentage is also 46.66 percentage. So that was the reason why we assume the cost as 100, so that we can calculate the things very easily in the end, right? So the profit should be approximately 46.66, which you can say as option number B, the best choice over here. All right, guys. So this is how we are doing. We did question number 3 as well. A very good question, right? Next question, guys. Again, a wonderful question. Question number 4 says, Amal purchases some pens at rupees 8 each. To sell these, he hires an employee at a fixed wage. He sells 100 of these pens at rupees 12 each. If the remaining pens are sold at 11 each, then he makes a net profit of rupees 300, all right, while he makes a net loss of 300 if the remaining pens are sold at rupees 9 each. Okay, so there are two scenarios, simple. The wage of the employee in rupees is, let's read it again. They are saying Amal purchases some pens at 8 rupees each. To sell these, he hires an employee at a fixed wage. He sells 100 of these pens at rupees 12 each, and the remaining pens are sold. If at rupees 11, he makes overall profit 300. If he sell the remaining pens at rupees 9, he makes a loss of 300. Now we have to find the wage of the employees in rupees. All right. So guys, one more thing, they have not given us that how many pens Amal have purchased in the end. So we also have to assume that, all right. And this time, we know a lot of values, isn't guys? We know the prices, we know the number of few pens which are being sold. So we cannot assume the price, we cannot assume the number of, pens in the numbers, right? We have to assume, but we'll be assuming in variables this time. We cannot assume in the numbers, right? So we have to start the assumption in the variables only, no other choice. Let's start the assumption, guys. Okay, let the number of pens, right, purchased by Amal in the beginning, all right, how much? Number of pens purchased, we can say is equals to n, all right. And next is what? The wage, right? We can say what the next thing is wage. So the fixed wage of him, right, let's say is actually W, all right. The fixed wage, let's say, is W, all right, of the employee is W. In fact, that is the last question, right? That's the final question, the wage of the employee. So we have to find the value of W in the end, rupees W, all right. Okay, so guys, then what is being said initially, the few pens are being sold at a fixed price of rupees 12, 100 pens, right? And the whole situation is arriving on the remaining pens, right? There are two situations. Okay, let's do both the situations one by one. In the first case, he makes a profit of 300, so we can say SP minus CP has to be 300, simple. What is SP, guys? SP is what? So remember, he sells 100 pens at rupees 12, so SP should be what? 100 into 12, all right, 100 into 12, simple. And there are few more pens which is sold at rupees 11 each. By the way, how many pens? See guys, total pens are n, 100 are being sold, so remaining pens must be n minus 100, right? Out of the total n pens, 100 are being sold, so the remaining must be obviously n minus 100, we can simply say that. And they are being sold at rupees 11, all right. So this is the total selling price in this scenario. What is the cost price, guys? The cost price we can say is what? Okay, there are n pens, all right. So the cost price of each of them is 8. So we can say the total cost price due to the pen should be n into 8. But guys, hang on, there is one more cost, right, which Amal is actually making, which is the salary which is paying to his employee, right? And we have assumed that his salary is how much, his wage is how much, W. So this W is also the part of the cost which a lot of students miss, which a lot of students forget to add. So if you take it, only then we will create an equation on W and we can find the value of the W, right? Otherwise, how can we find the value of W? Okay, so this should be how much? 300, right? Let's simplify this. This will create first equation. We can do one more thing. Simultaneously, we can create the second scenario, right, guys? In second scenario, he makes a loss of 300. What is the meaning of the loss? That means CP minus SP, should be 300. We can just say that, all right? Now, again, what is the CP, everybody? The CP we can say is the same here. Okay, the CP is this, sorry. CP is what? N into 8 plus W. CP is being fixed, right? CP will not change now. Only the SP will change because, he sells the remaining pens at some other cost, right? So what is the total selling price? The first, 100 pens at rupees 12. So we can say 100 into 12. Okay, the remaining pens, how many pens, guys? N minus 100, right? That he sells at rupees, remember, he sells at rupees 9 this time, right? The remaining pens he sells at 9 per pen, okay? And in this case, he makes a loss of 300. So this, by this, we'll get second equation. Okay, guys. So first equation is this and second is this. Let's simplify both the equations, all right? Let's make them easy. So see, 100 into 12, 1200. 100 into 11, 1100. 1200 minus 1100 gives us only 100, okay? And this is 11n minus 8n, we can say is 3n, all right? 3n. And 1 W with the minus sign, so minus W should be, we can say 300, right? Moreover, we can say that 3n minus W is equals to 300 minus 100, which you can say is what? We can say this is, 200. So 300 minus W has to be 200 in the beginning, right? Which we can further say as equation number 1. Simple, okay? Now let's move to the next scenario, okay? The next scenario is this, which you can try to simplify next, all right? So here, what do we have, guys? See, n into 8, 8n, okay, 8n, and this is minus 9n, okay? So 8n minus 9n is only minus n, simple. And then, you know what, 1200, and this is, we can say what? See, 1200 minus 900 is 300, but with minus sign, so we'll say minus 300 to this, all right? Minus 300, and what next? This is plus W. And the right hand side as being 300. Okay, so we can say what? Finally, we can say W minus N, W minus N should be 300 plus 300, which means 600. Okay, and this will be the second equation of us. All right, so finally we got in two equations. One is this and second is this, and both the equations are with respect to W and N. Okay, guys, so two equations, two variables. Obviously, we can find both the variables easily, right? What we have to find? We have to find the wage means W, right? We don't have to find the value of N. We have to find the value of W. Simple. How do we do that? Okay, this is first equation. This is second equation. Let me write the first equation here, right? 3n minus W is being 200. 3n minus W is being 200. Okay, guys. So if you add these two equations, right? If we add these two equations, we'll directly get the value of N, right? We'll get the value of N. And then by substituting N, we'll get the value of W as well. Okay, quickly. Okay, and if suppose we want to find the W first, so if you want to find W first, we have to, cancel what? We have to eliminate N. And eliminating N, for eliminating N, what shall we do? We'll multiply the first equation by 3. Okay, let's multiply the first equation by 3, which should be 3N minus 3W minus 3N as being 1800. Okay, so this is the second equation. Now we can add these two equations. Simple. Let me add it here. Okay, equation 1 plus equation number 2. What shall we get, guys? See, 3W minus W is 2W only, right? It must be only 2W. Simple. And then, 3N minus 3N plus 3N will be cancelled out, 0. And the right hand side is 1800 plus 200 is being 4000. Sorry, 2000. 1800, 200 must be, 2000. And then the value of W has to be nothing but, 1000. That's it. So the wage of the employee, we can say being rupees, 1000. Okay, this is how we can solve this wonderful question as well. All right. Now, let us move to the next problem. The next problem, again, one more wonderful question, guys. It is about what? It is about a man who buys 35 kgs of sugar and sets a marked price in order to make a 20% profit. Okay, the marked price is 20% above the cost price, first thing. Then he sells 5 kg at this price, means at the marked price, okay, which is 20% above the cost, right? And 15 kg at 10% is discount. Okay, so there may be some customer he has to, give discount. Then accidentally 3 kg of sugar is wasted. All right, then he sells the remaining sugar by raising the marked price by P percentage so as to make an overall profit of 15%. Alright, overall profit he makes is 15%. We have to find the value of P, or you can say the nearest value of P, approximate value of P. Alright. Okay guys, in this question you see everything is about the percentages, right? No exact amount is given. So what should we do in such kind of questions? We start assuming. Assumption we can do in the numbers because no actual value is, no actual price is given, so we can start the assumption with the numbers. That will definitely save our time in solving, right? So we should always start with the cost price usually, right? So let's start with the cost price. Let the cost price of 1 kg, okay? Let me start with 1 kg cost price rupees 100, simple. So what should be his cost price, guys, by the way? What should be his cost price? And by the way, what is the mark price? Remember, mark price is 20% above, so we can write this as well. The mark price of 1 kg, which is 20% above this, which should be how much? Which should be 120. Simple, right? 20% above this. Simple. Okay, so what should be his total cost, right? Total cost we can say is what? Remember, he buys 35 kg of the sugar. Okay, he buys 35 kg of the sugar. So his total cost should be, we'll say what? 35 into 100, which means we can say rupees 3500, right guys? Obviously 1 kg cost is 100, so 35 kg's cost should be 3500, pretty simple. Now suppose he doesn't give any discount and all, right? So his selling price we can say is equal to the mark price, which means 120, simple. Okay, we can consider this, and guys remember, in the end he is making how much profit? Overall he is making the profit of 15%. So we can write down the selling price right here. Okay, we can write the selling price right here. Selling price we can say is what? 15% is more than the cost, right? 15% above the cost. Okay, what is 15% of the cost, guys? 15% of the cost means 15% of 3500. You can say 15% is equivalent to 10% is plus 5% is, right? So 10% of 3500 is 350, and 5% of this is what? Half of 10% is, which we can say half of 350, which you can say is 175, right? So guys, the total profit is how much? In this we'll say 350 plus 175, which gives us, we'll say 525. Okay, the total profit is, we'll say 525. So what should be the total selling price? 3500 plus 525, which should be rupees 4025, which should be 4025. So his total selling price must be 4025 rupees, number one thing. Now let's see how does he sell the different amount of the rice. Okay, initially remember in different amount of the sugar, sorry. See guys, what happened, he sells 5 kg at this price, means at the mark price. Okay, so the selling price of the 5 kgs we can write one by one, and the selling price of what? Selling price of these, where is that? 15 kg. All right, and in the end 3 kg got wasted, and how much would be left, by the way? The left should be how much? Let me write here. The left quantity is, see, his total quantity is 35. 35 minus 15 is 20. 20 minus 15 is being 15. 3 got wasted, so remaining is only 12 kg, right? So selling price of 12 kg will write over here. Okay, first let's write the selling price of the first 5 kg he sold. So he sold at this price. Which price, guys? The original mark price. Okay, so we can say this selling price should be 5 into rupees 120. See, this is the mark price of 1 kg, right? So 5 kg, 5 into 120, which is 600. Simple. Next, for 15 kg, he gave a discount. Remember, guys, he gave a discount of 10% on the mark price. So 10% on 120 is 12. That means the selling price should be 108. Pretty simple calculation, right? So I'm just writing 108 directly. Okay, and these are 15 kg. So 15 into 108, which you can say what? 15 8 is 120. This is 12. Then 2. Then this is 1. 15 and 1 is 16. Simple. So we'll say this is 16 20, right? Simple. Okay, guys. Now what next? What next? After that we'll say what? The selling price of the last 12 kg is what? It should be the total selling price minus the selling price of these two. Alright guys, minus the selling price of these two. So we can say how much it should be. It should be 4025 minus this 600 minus this 1620, right? So how much it should be, guys? Pretty simple. Okay, we'll say what? 25 minus 20 is only 05. Okay, then 2200 subtracting from this should be 1800. So it must be 1805 only, right? This must be only 1805. So we can say the selling price of 12 kg is coming 1805. Okay, and then we can find the selling price of 1 kg, right? See guys, because we have to find what, remember what is happening in the end, he sells the remaining sugar of 12 kg by raising the mark price by P percentage so as to make the overall profit of this is. So we have to find the percentage increase on the mark price, and we know the mark price of 1 kg, right? So we should get the data of 1 kg in the final lot of the sugar. Okay, the final lot is how much guys? 12 kg, whose selling price is 1805. So the selling price of 1 kg of the last lot is 1805 divided by 12. This is not getting cancelled, but yes, that's why they had given P is being nearest in the end, right? We don't have to get the exact value. Let's find the approximate value. Okay, so it should be how much? We'll say 18 by 12 is 1, then 6, 5, and something 0, and we can say 5 by 12. Okay, so we can also say approximately 150, right? If required, we can also say approximately 150. Right now this is 150 is to 5 by 12. Okay guys, 150 is to 5 by 12. Okay guys, if let's say he sells the remaining sugar at the mark price. So mark price, remember, is how much? Mark price we have calculated in the last slide is being 120. All right, so mark price of 1 kg is 120, right? But he's selling at what? He's selling at 150 is to 5 by 12. Why? Remember, because he has raised the mark price by P percentage, and that P is what we have to find in the end, right? Mark price was 120, but he's selling at 150 is to something value, right? 150 is to something. Let's do one thing, let's just write 150 for a while. Okay, let's just write 150 approximately. So guys, if this is 150, so how much percentage got increased? Very simple. Okay, the value increased by 30, so the percentage increase should be, we can say what? The percentage increase is 30 upon 120, all right? 30 upon 120. What is that value? We shall say this is 1 by 4, which is 25% is simple. So yes guys, we can say what? The percentage increase or the value of P is approximately 25, right? Very much close to 25. See, if you're writing 150 point something, still it will be what? Then this will be slightly more than 30 and this will be slightly more than 25%. So even then, the best option is option D, 25%, right guys? So this is how we solve this wonderful question number 5. Now guys, the last question, based on the cheating problem which we discussed in the last video, based on the weights problem. Okay, but this time it's not weight, it's actually the length, you can say, but concept is the same. Okay, the question says what? There is a merchant who purchases a cloth at a rate of 100 rupees per meter and receives 5 centimeter length of the cloth free for every 100 centimeter length of the cloth purchased by him. Okay, he sells the same cloth at rupees 110 per meter, but cheats his customer by giving 95 centimeter length of the cloth for every 100 centimeter length of the cloth purchased by the customers. Okay, if the merchant provides a 5% discount, the resulting profit earned by him is, right? The merchant provides a 5% discount. Okay, then we have to find the resulting profit earned by him, right? Okay, all the options are in percentages. Again guys, some values are given, all right? You can see that some values are given. Okay, like the cost price and selling price is already given. Okay, so we don't have to assume the cost and selling. Okay, we only have to work on, you can say, the prices, the final prices, and then we'll try to find the profit percentage. Okay, remember what is being said. Let's read it again. A merchant purchases a cloth at a rate of 100 per meter and receives 5 centimeter length cloth free for every 100 centimeter length of the cloth purchased by him, right? He receives 5 centimeter length free for every 100 centimeter length. This is what we have to understand, right? So for this we can say what? That he bought how much guys? Ideally he should get 100 meters, but he gets 5 centimeter free. So we can say what? He bought 105 meter, okay, at the rate of, or you can say at the price of 100 centimeter. Okay, I should write centimeter here. He bought 105 centimeter at the price of what? At the price of 100 centimeter, right guys? So and what is the price, by the way? The price is 100 rupees per meter, right? So we can say what? And 100 centimeter obviously is equivalent to 1 meter, simple. So we can say that cost price of 105 centimeter for him is the price of 1 meter, and the price of 1 meter is what? Rupees 100. So basically we can say that he bought 105 centimeter at rupees 100. Okay guys, he bought 105 centimeter at rupees 100. This is what we can say, right? Then moving ahead, now he sells the same cloth at rupees 110 per meter. Okay, he sells the same cloth at the rate of 110 per meter, but cheats his customer by giving 95 centimeter. This is this. Okay, so guys, how does he cheat? See, he cheats his customer by giving only 95 centimeter for every 100 centimeter length of the cloth purchased by the customer. So customer thinks that they are getting 100 centimeter, but he's giving only 95 centimeter. So we can say one thing, that he sells, right guys? We can say one statement, like here we said this statement, at this place we can say the statement that he sells 95 centimeter at the price of 100 centimeter, all right, which you can also say as 1 meter. Okay, so for him, what is the selling price of 95 centimeter? We can say the selling price of 95 centimeter is the original selling price of 1 meter, right? And what is the original selling price of 1 meter? Remember guys, they are saying that he sells the same cloth at the rate of 110 rupees per meter. Okay, so he sells 95 centimeter at the price of 1 meter, which is given to us 110 rupees, right? So it must be rupees 110. All right, so this is the second scenario. There's the first scenario, there's the second scenario, fine. And one more thing guys, he also provides a 5% discount. Remember, he also providing 5% discount. So his selling price of 95 centimeter in real is not 110. He will also provide 5% discount on this. So 5% discount, we can say what? 19 by 20, you know, decreasing by 5%, which is 1 by 20. So it should be 19 by 20. So finally we got the data that cost price of 105 centimeter is this, and selling price of 95 centimeter is this, and we have to find what? The resulting profit percentage earned. Okay guys, now we had discussed so many times this thing that, you know, we can find the profit or loss percentages only when the bought quantity and the sold quantity is same. But in this question, the bought and sold quantity is not same, so we can't find like this. We have to first, you know, make them equal, right? Only then we can solve the question, right? Let me write the data, the same, you know, the cost and selling price in the next slide again. So guys, the cost price of 105 centimeter is being what? Is being, you know, rupees 100. Okay, and the selling price of 95 centimeter is how much? We'll say this is 110 into 19 by, you know, 20. Okay, now we have to try to, you know, get the final, you know, answer. How? Guys, luckily if you see, you know, 19 5s is 95, so that can definitely help us out. Okay, 19 5s are 95, that's 5 we can take here. So we can say the selling price of just 1 centimeter, if I say, it should be what? This 5 comes here, it must be rupees 110 upon, you know, 20 into 5 is 100. So we can say the selling price of 1 centimeter is 110 upon 100, which you can also say as rupees 1.1. Okay guys, rupees 1.1, 110 upon 100 is 1.1. Now remember, the cost price of 105 is given 100, and selling price luckily we got for 1 centimeter. So we can write down the selling price of 105, okay, because the cost price we have given for 105. Okay, so selling price of 105 is what? Multiplying this by 105 into rupees 1.1. Okay, so guys, the cost price of 105 is this, 100 rupees, and selling price is this, which you can, you know, by the way, simplify. 11 5s is 55, then again 5, and 11 1s are 11, and this should be what? This should be, we'll say, is rupees 115.5 finally guys. Okay, so remember, the cost price of 105 is rupees 100, okay, and the selling price of 105 is rupees 115.5. that's it. Cost is 100, again, you know, cost being 100 helped us in calculation. The profit is 15.5, and we can say the profit percentage is also, you know, 15.5. Why? Because the cost is 100, right? So we can say the profit percentage is 15.5%, which gives the answer as option number B. Alright guys, so this is how we solve this wonderful question as well, and that was the last question of this, you know, particular exercise. I hope you guys enjoyed all the question. You got to learn something new. I hope this helped you out, right? And again guys, we'll be meeting in the next video with some new interesting topics of arithmetic, right? And yes, if you want to write anything in the comment, please write. If you want us to cover anything else, you can write that as well. Till then guys, keep watching, keep learning, keep studying, and bye bye, take care.